So welcome everyone. I would like to present you my topic, the use of augmented reality in dental implant placement. I am Takács from the Department of Community Dentistry. My mission is to improve patient satisfaction with implants, and my vision is the application of augmented reality in the everyday clinical practice. Here you can see my two ongoing projects. I would like to start describing the first one, investigating the accuracy of different implant placement techniques. So currently we have three more spread out implant placement techniques in practice. First one is the freehand method. However, it has some drawbacks like prosthetically inadequate implant position, iatrogenic damage, and aesthetic complications. Meanwhile, we have also dynamic navigation techniques, which forces the surgeon to alternate their attention between the monitor and the surgical area. And we have guided surgery with surgical guides that need additional space and may endanger the cooling of the drill. So as a solution to all these problems, there is a novel approach called augmented reality-based navigation, which has the potential to eliminate all the mentioned problems. And well, our overall aim is to see if clinically acceptable accuracy could be achieved with this method. So our clinical question is basically the accuracy of all these available techniques. You can see that we have no control groups. The interventions are these methods, and we are measuring implant placement accuracy. We conducted a refreshed systematic search on the 18th of April. Here is the search key, and here is the result of our selection. With the citation chasing articles, those 19 added, we have a total of 105 articles. Our outcome measures are means and confidence intervals. They are actually deviations measured between the planned and the placed implants. We have angular deviations, which is measured between the implant axis. We have coronal global deviations, which are measured at the most coronal, and apical global, which are measured at the most apical central points of the given implants. And all these measures are positive values, and well, the smaller deviation, the more accurate the surgery is. Due to the lack of time, I can only show you three figures. These are the most important ones. So let's start with the angular deviation. As you can see, the best accuracy belongs to the robot group. We set a clinically acceptable level to max 5 degrees. And as a promising result, only freehand surpassed this limit. The rest were clinically acceptable. The second outcome is coronal global deviation. Here the clinically acceptable limit was 1.5 millimeters, and none of the mean values were higher than this. Only freehand had a confidence interval that involved values that were higher than this given limit. And here the static group had the best accuracy. The third one is apical global deviation. The limit was 1.5 millimeters here as well. And freehand and unfortunately augmented reality-based navigation too were over this limit. The rest were clinically acceptable. And the robotic implant placement had the highest accuracy again. So we included all possible implant placement methods, evaluated all possible ways of accuracy, and we conducted this according to a previously published protocol. And the limitation is the in vitro nature of our studies, the small number of articles in some subgroups, and the higher heterogeneity. All in all, the fully guided static navigation system and robust assisted navigation provided the best results for most outcomes, while freehand showed a tendency for the worst results. And the novel methods like augmented reality and robotic navigation are promising alternatives for the future. In practice, navigated techniques should be wider used, and they also should be introduced to a broader audience. For research, we would need both in vitro and clinical studies, and with a more consistent way of publishing outcomes and greater transparency. So right now, here is our progress. The manuscript is written, and I would like to send it to internal review this week. And our target is the Journal of Dentistry. My second project is about MSc students' learning curve of augmented reality-based navigation. We would like to compare it to the dynamic navigation. As you heard before, AR has this disadvantage over it, that it superimposes the plan on the surgical area. However, there hasn't been any studies about augmented reality's learning curve. So this is why we would like to see it. We only know that dynamic navigation has a steep one. We would like to conduct this study with MSc dental students, and the learning curves would be formed measuring implant placement accuracy. And the hypothesis is that AR is a faster to learn technique and to reach clinically acceptable accuracy. And we would like to offer easy-to-learn implant placement method, decrease all complications, iatrogenic damage, and have better biomechanical results. So we would like to include MSc dental students who are unexperienced in implant placement, and we would like to place implants into 3D printed resin mandibles. We would have an intervention group with AR and a control group with the conventional dynamic navigation. All numbers you see here might change lately because we are at the protocol drafting phase. So our primary outcome would be the learning curve with the accuracy results, and we wouldn't have secondary outcomes. And I would like to finish my first project in July and the second one in October. And I would like to thank you for your attention with a quote. Science, my boy, is composed of errors, but errors that it is right to make, for they lead step by step to the truth.
Congrats for your presentation. So because we are in the same shoes, what difficulties do you facing during this protocol drafting in your second project?
Thank you for the question. Well, I think the greatest problem is that if you are looking at learning curve studies on implant placement, there isn't a consistent way of publishing. For example, some studies have more students, let's say, who are placing implants, they are placing less implants. Other studies, there are only a few operators placing more implants. So I think the greatest hardship right now is to find a study we can base ours on, or if we cannot find a study like that at all, then to draft a feasible protocol.
I have a question about your protocol. I was wondering if you are trying to investigate the learning curve, instead of trying to set a number of attempts for the students to make in order to achieve the accuracy, because you already have the maximum deviation for all the accuracy you are trying to investigate. Why instead won't you try to, for example, investigate how many attempts would they able to try for them to achieve that accuracy, for example, two consecutive time in a row. implying that maybe the first time would be a mistake?
Thank you for the question. It's a bit complicated because on one hand, even people have different skill sets. So it may happen that somebody will achieve better results than the other one. And we cannot really predict how much of a difference would be between two steps. So more than two steps would maybe be needed, but we've been also getting advices on increasing the number of students in the study. So each student would place less implants, but yes, they would place more than two. But thank you very much.
I have a question regarding to the first topic. I'm not very familiar with teeth and implants. But as far as I remember, with my family and the clinic where I work as an anesthesiologist sometimes and going around the ambulance, I haven't ever seen any other technique used or heard of than the freehand technique. So my question is how widespread the other methods are. Are they really used in real life clinical practice? But they are just possibilities for the future.
Thank you very much for the question. Even in our clinic, I think the freehand method is the most widespread right now. They started using static guidance too. So I think it appears more often. And I also heard about the dynamic navigation system. But the main problem here is the problems with, for example, the financial side, as, for example, dynamic systems are relatively high at costs. So sometimes it's easier for them to just use the freehand method. And also, for example, the guides need additional production time, costs. So this is why I think these are not that widespread. Then the augmented reality systems, at the moment, I don't think there are any that are clinically approved. And there is, I think, one robotic system called Yomi, which was accepted to be used on patients, but it is actually in a phase where it's rather used for clinical trials, so not like on the great mass of people.
And do you think that this difference of 3% of angular deviation or increase worth this huge difference in time and costs and everything in the future, clinically, because I don't know?
Well, I think people are trying to tend for the better results, and it's still better to pay more for the implant surgery than to lose the implant or have any more complications because of the inaccuracies.